And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good morning and welcome to the Market Forecast, my friends, family, fellow futures traders. Happy Monday. I hope you had a nice weekend. If you're already in the markets, as always, we're hoping things are going your way. All right, so what do we got going on this week? Well, there's not a whole lot of important economic information due out this week. Probably the most important one is going to be on Friday, the CPI number coming out. But as far as what's going on here today, we don't really have much. We got a couple of bill auctions, no real economic information. Tomorrow, we do have international trade in goods and services. Wednesday, of course, we've got the EIA petroleum status report, jobless claims on Thursday as usual with the nat gas number, and then CPI and consumer sentiment, Michigan consumer sentiment, on Friday. So we're going to be kind of freewheeling here as far as a lack of direction from economic numbers. As always, we're focusing here on finding accurate context in the marketplace, always thinking about risk management and trying to stay patient. And I think that's going to be a real benefit to us to be patient today, because many of our markets, well, at least our equities and gold, are really kind of range bound. We're coming into rollover in the equities. We're in roll week in the currencies. So just trying to let the market talk to you. Let the market come and tell you, hey, this looks like a good situation. I'm going to try really hard not to go looking for trades, because I usually can find them, and usually they're not all that good. As far as other things, we know that the stocks are starting the week a little higher. Again, it's a thin week in economic numbers, perhaps. Still riding on a perceived positive jobs report from last week, as we are going to be opening higher in the equities. Crude prices remain strong as the Saudis raise production, or promise to raise production, but they also raise the official selling price a little bit more than expected. Why not? Why wouldn't you, right? So, as always, make sure you hit the lucky like button, share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome here on the Market Forecast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified when we do go live. The VIX this morning up a little bit at 25.4, dollar index off slightly at 102.07, and the yield on the 10-year creeping back up to near 3% at 2.97% last I looked. So, this is a kind of a strange week here at Top Step. Not strange because of anything, but we are going to be, we're going to have the forecast Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're going to have the recap Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're going to have group coaching today, make Hogue Money tomorrow, group coaching on Wednesday, but we've got an all hands on deck meeting for a couple of days, the end of the week. So we won't be having the forecast or the recap. There won't be any podcast, and our support team is going to be, a little bit slower. So just be prepared for that. And we will be looking forward to getting back to a full week next week. So, speaking of group coaching, here's the link. You can register now. We're going to be seeing if I can get a couple of things prepared for what we were talking about last week. Last week we had ZK looking for a kind of a prep. What do I do to prep for the markets? And we'll take a look at that to some degree here today. And then Wednesday, we're going to take a look at maybe some of the profiles as was requested by Janik. Hopefully they'll be around and you'll be at those sessions. Yes, new week, new fresh start. Good morning, everybody. Shaw, good to see you. James, good to see you. Charles, Tachyon. James had looks like a pretty tough day on Friday. That's why on Fridays we always try and remind everybody, hey, this is a capital preservation day. And the last thing we want to do is get beat up on a Friday. Sorry that happened, but you can dig yourself right out of that. James, stick with your process. Good morning, Brian. Denise, good morning. Good morning, my brother Rick. Love you. Scott saw and he conquered. Federico, Zachary, happy Monday to you from New York. Thank you for joining us today. Alfred, Tachyon. Friday was good for Tachyon, made 700. Today he's going to be trading micros only. Theo, good morning. Always good to see you. Marcelo, good morning. Bill Phillips, chilling with Dylan. Rusty Golfer. Vince, good to see you, sir. Terry King, Charles March. Yes, some encouraging words for James. Cody, good to see you, Cody. Dante, James Swan, talking with Charles March. James taught me a lesson. Just stop before blowing the combine. So still in it. Always a good thing. You don't want to do that. Dig yourself out. Vince, 20 ticks in gold this morning. He got stopped out at break even. Good morning, Steven. Silver's up 2.5%. Holy smokles. Jerry is awake. Hopefully I am too. Khalid, Trading Research. Good morning. Sonny. George, good to see you. Lacey's chilling out by the front windows, just waiting for prey to walk by. Good morning, Mike. Dan Trader. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying them, James. I'm glad you're enjoying them. That's really great. You can only do group coaching Wednesday, but can't wait. Excellent. Well, we'll be here when you're here. 3 Lions. William, Joe. Out of the penalty box, back to passing step 2 of the combine. Nice job, Joe. We're looking forward to your continued success. Any updates on the group coaching recording situation? Trading Research, if you want a recording of it, just email me at jhoagland@topstep.com. As far as putting them out there for the whole world, we haven't really decided what to do with that. But we are thinking about moving Make Hook Money to YouTube so that those will be recorded and available on YouTube. Still working on some of those decisions and some of those ideas. Buongiorno. Onirt. Glitter. Happy Monday. Okay. So I think we've got all the business taken care of. Remember, Thursday and Friday, stay patient with us, please. And there will be no forecast recap or Make Hogue Money on Thursday. But we'll be right back to it on Monday. All right, let's take a look here at the S&Ps, and we'll watch the crude oil open. There's, I think, really good reason for traders to remain patient in currencies, in the equities, even maybe in our treasuries, although treasuries have already rolled. But we've got currency rollover this week. In a couple of weeks, we got equity rollover. So those markets are going to be a little harder to read as far as volume and open interest is concerned. You're just going to try and stay patient here. Let's take a look at the S&Ps. And on the daily chart, you can really see how this market has established range and is now in the middle of range. We've got last week's high and low in the purple lines here. We've got, sorry about that. That was noisy. We've got some established ranges, the highs, established lows. We added 4,000 in open interest estimated on Friday. Nothing tremendous. Volume, nothing notable. So really, there's just nothing remarkable about this market right now, even though In the day time frame, it has been offering some pretty decent ranges, although it's been kind of a random walk. So we've got rollover beginning without bad news, which is something that could really happen this week with the lack of economic numbers. With no bad news, what do equities tend to do? They tend to grind themselves to the upside. Just a thought, something to keep in mind as we are looking for our opportunities. If there's nothing scary, and believe me, there's plenty of uncertainties out there. Of course, we all know that. But as we sit and we digest those, they seem to be less powerful. And if there's no bad news, maybe this thing can just continue to grind to the upside. Nobody knows for sure, and anything can and usually does happen. So when I'm looking at price here, I'm looking at price central in weekly kickoff range. I'm looking at largely central in last week's range, which are pretty much the extremes of the area of balance that we're in. On top of that, we're in rollover, and rollover creates a situation that may exacerbate the range-bound activity we have. Our longer, stronger traders are more interested in getting a cheap rollover than being directional at this time. Of course, they can be pushed into directional activity, but the way this market starts this today out, and we're taking a look at the 30 chart, says the 30-minute. Do we have a whole lot of directional activity? We're opening here probably with a gap, which invites a little bit of earlier activity. We looked at where we opened on Friday as an area where we were looking for repair to this high volume node, to this high volume node, or even the point of control. We're still in that area. This was Thursday's big range, and we're still in that area. We still have to also remember that we did put in a recent high in the overnight session. So that also hangs out there lurking at us saying, when are you going to come and get me? So here we are. Here's our purple lines, or last week's range. We're right in the middle. I'm going to try and stay patient. We do have a gap. If we can't close the gap relatively early, that'll probably have me looking for opportunities to buy weakness to see if we can come up and retest or check out the last Sunday night high that occurred again in extended trading hours. Markets don't like to leave recent highs or lows in extended trading hours. So there is that possibility of a return to come and check out this level up here, this area. I gotta try and stay patient. Mondays are not my best day. I know that. I've got to just really kind of get myself back in the swing of things as a trader before I try and really get involved too early. So I'm going to be, again, looking at this as out of balance in a short time frame, but in a medium time frame, we're right in the middle of an area of balance. So try and stay patient. John, talking to myself, got to stay patient. Here's crude oil, so it's gotten a little cozy up here, up around $120. I would much prefer half that, as I would much prefer paying half what I paid for gasoline yesterday. Don't know if that's going to be happening anytime soon, ladies and gentlemen. We added 11,000 in open interest on this move to the upside. We did not bring in huge volume here, but we are about a week from rollover again here in crude oil, so we might start to see volume start to kind of fall off, and we're of course watching open interest. Open interest has been growing as we've been moving higher, so it says the auction process to the upside still acts relatively healthy since we've kind of broken out of our range here. We see prices moving higher lows, higher highs. This market is looking relatively healthy again by open interest if you were looking at open interest alone. Volume maybe not so much, but we still got some money coming into the long side here, so I'm not ready to start selling strength just yet. Here's the 30-minute chart. Okay, where are we? We're in range. We're in value. We had overnight shorts. We still have those overnight shorts. We just opened. We are looking like we may be leaving the opening range at the low of the session. We'll look at that on the 1 minute chart. But in range and in value, I tend to try again and stay patient. I'm going to stay patient. Here's the 1 minute chart. Just into the opening range, and we're already at 37 ticks of an opening range. Rather substantial. We do want to remember we do have overnight shorts. But again, we are in range and in value. Thirty-seven ticks. Okay. There's our opening range. So 118.70 up to 119.07. I don't think I'll be looking to take the opening range trade today. So I just wanted to point out that first opening is right now still remaining no outside move outside of the opening range. Tells me again, this market is something to be patient with. We're still inside the opening range. Lack of confidence and conviction in this market here this morning. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq, which is almost the same story, well, as the S&Ps. S&Ps. Consolidation, balance, digestion, indecision. There's no real direction here, and we're the same way here in the Nasdaq. Consolidation, balance, chop, whatever you want to call it. Rollover again begins in the Nasdaq. It's a couple of weeks away still. Volume and open interest steady. We got volume really holding steady here in the Nasdaq. We added 2,200 in open interest on Friday. Nothing tremendous really to report about that. It's relatively benign, inert. And here we are again. We're in the center of last week's range and relatively central between weekly kickoff high and low. Let's try and stay patient. We may or may not be opening with a gap in the Nasdaq. We've got overnight longs. We're still in an area that is crying for repair from Thursday's move. And again, we do not have the recent high in the overnight session last Sunday. We took that out on Thursday with this move to the upside. We have yet to do that in the S&Ps. There was an inherent strength to the Nasdaq last week, or is it just the fact that the Nasdaq is so much more beaten down than the S&Ps? It's already accomplished that, where the S&Ps have been left behind. Overnight longs. If we can't close this gap, that may mean that we've brought in some buyers and we could see this market move back up and retest last week's high, or at the very least the high of value from Thursday's activity. All right. What else do I have here? It's still looking like it is attempting to repair Thursday's range. Gold. Balance. Consolidation. Chop. Digestion. Indecision. Gold, not really doing much. We lost 13,000 in open interest. Open interest continues to drop. We're looking at slowing volume since the rollover. There's no real reason to be all that active or aggressive in gold because of the position it's in. Centrally located in last week's range, centrally located in weekly kickoff range. We've been in this range since, well, let's say April, May, all of May. We've been in this area, and we're right in the middle of it again. I gotta try and stay patient. Patience. Patience. Take a look at the 30. Got some overnight longs, but were we opened right in the middle of value from Friday, which looks like another day of potential repair. We already looked 7 o'clock bar to the upper, relatively close to what I would say is the high volume node up here, and then it moved down to a high volume node down here, which is the point of control from Friday. So it almost looks like we've established an early range here, and I think it's going to be hard for us to get out of this range. We may spend the entire day repairing this hole in Friday's profile. Let's see if we see anything interesting in our currency, the euro. Range, consolidation, chop, balance, same situation. We're in the middle of last week's range. We're in the middle of weekly kickoff range. This is rolling right now. It's going to roll Wednesday into Thursday. We'll see what the volume looks like Wednesday morning, but if we don't roll over on Wednesday, we most certainly should be probably moving into the September contract on Thursday. I'm kind of backburnered on this market because it's in rollover, because it's in range, and I certainly don't want to do anything in the middle. Volume and open interest slow. We lost 1,800 on open interest coming into rollover. Here's where we are. This whole area of range, we're still wrestling with it and still dealing with, what it takes to get out of this. And again, we're right in the middle of it. We don't even have any overnight inventory with which to think of. And we've opened basically right in range, right in value, right near settlement. No reason to rush into anything in this market. We've got some visuals up here. We've got a naked point of control, last week's high. We've got a visual down here. We've got a naked point of control. We've got last week's high. It's almost a random walk here, ladies and gentlemen. Be very careful if you're going to be trading this. Uh, 10 years. Since April, we've been in this range. We are basically pressing last week's low right now as we see rates continue to creep to the upside, which we know they're going to. This is the daily. We lost 6,000 in open interest on the attempted continuation below on Friday, below Thursday's range, which was kind of thwarted. We lost 6,000 in open interest. Volume has been really slow as we wait for new information. A week from Wednesday is the FOMC meeting, so we may fall into some range-bound activity regarding that. And it's really kind of a mess because it's right on rollover for the equities, the FOMC meeting. That's going to be an interesting day and an interesting week next week. Here's the 30-minute chart. There's really not a lot to say about these markets and their current situations. Here's last week's low. We're pressing down to it. Do we have any overnight inventory? Maybe we're a little bit short. If we can't continue to bring in sellers on an extension of last week's range, I'll look for this market to turn around and largely turn back into a range-bound session. Here's Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today, we're really kind of teetering on a change. If we were going to be looking at this as a range-bound market by using last week's high and low, this is an opportunity for us to fish. Again, we can let the market take our worm. We just don't want it to take the whole rod and reel. So I'm always looking for opportunities to limit risk. With the rates creeping higher, not sure I'd want to be fishing off the wrong side of the boat at this juncture, if you will. Let's take a look at the nat gas, and we'll get down to business. So we got nat gas. We've got a weekend gap. We're going to see that a little bit more clearly on the 30-minute chart, but we have not been able to close that weekend gap. The market is attempting to go back up and retest the stiff resistance that we found up above $9.20. We got these tweezer bars up here that just represent excess. We're going to take another crack at them. And when we look at the longer time frame, this market is still remaining relatively strong, good structure to the upside. We're getting some deep pullbacks. That's okay. This is a real good test of what we're going to be seeing perhaps for the foreseeable future in nat gas. Another test up here. We added 300 in open interest on Friday. No big deal. And lost a little bit of volume on kind of an inside day. But here's the 30-minute chart and what we're dealing with now. So here's that weekly kickoff high. We're right at it. Last week's high, we're above it. We have a gap that was never filled. We've now extended the range considerably in just the first few minutes of trade. And again, this is a nice area for us to drop a line in the water, because I think it's not going to stay here very long. We're either going to find out fast and cheap whether we are taking a loss on this or if we are going to maybe pull in some lunker. A nice big walleye or something would be nice. Interesting spot here. Gap rules. We opened last night with a gap. We still have that gap, and up here against maybe some pretty good resistance. We have to wait and see. I'm going to be very interested to see what this market does on the recap here this afternoon. I'm going to be interested to see what all these markets do, because to me, markets are just very, very interesting, if you will. It's fascinating. How these markets act and respond and how they speak to us, and being able to recognize their language is really our job. And it takes research, it takes hypothesis, it takes recognizing if your hypothesis might be true, and then being able to use a strategy that suits that hypothesis. My goodness, it's good to see you. How are you doing today? I'm doing okay. What is the first minute of trade in natural gas? I look at 8 to 8:01 as the opening range in nat gas, because you can see volume picks up much the same way it does in crude oil at 8 o'clock Central. The old pit hours for the 6E, 7:20 to 2 o'clock, 7:20 Central to 2 p.m. Central. When I first started on the trading floor, they had all the currencies, and they were all in a line along a wall on the old trading floor. And each currency had a closing time that was 2 minutes apart, because the floor was so crowded back then. If they staggered the closings for the currencies. It was like 116, 118, 120, 122, 124, or something like that. It was kind of strange how they did it. But when we moved to the new old trading floor, there was plenty of space, so they I think pretty much closed at 2 o'clock. Same as CL? No. Oh, yes, nat gas. I view them the same as opening and closing times. And if you look on the 30-minute chart, you'll see that the volume really starts to pick up at 8 o'clock and kind of shuts down at 1:30. Boy, it's $7.80 a gallon up in Canada. That's just brutal. Why are they doing this to us? And I believe that they are. It's not an accident. It's terrible. Oh, man. So, and I'm also, I don't know, kind of a little tired today. I had to help my daughter move yesterday. I'll tell you that story later. And then, always a fun day when you're moving. All right. So, well, not all that much to talk about in these markets. So we're going to be trying again. Stay patient. We're looking forward to your success. So stay in your strategy, stay in your plan, stay humble, grateful, and creative in your trading. I'm going to take my deep breath right now. And bid you a good trading day. I'll see you at 1 p.m. Central for group coaching. I'm going to see if I can put together some sort of representation of how I prepare for the trading day, as well as how I prepare for the market forecast. And we'll take a look at that on group coaching. Until then, get out there, profit, trade well today. Let the market tell you, because it will. And I'll see you later on. Have a great trading day and a great day.